You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show with Ray Smith, Sandra Johnson, and Danielle Johnson. Later on the show, we'll have Regal RC on here from Regal Pest Prevention. But we thought we'd start today's show talking about an article that Sandra read about that Dave Ramsey wrote.
Oh, no. And now we're mixing this all up. So we were just having a casual conversation here about housing. And I did get an email from Dave Ramsey this week, and
I didn't know you guys were that close.
We aren't. It wasn't a personal email, but it had his name on it. I do really like a lot of what his program does for families, helping them get out of debt, and getting them focused on you do what you have to do to get yourself into a financially healthy position. And I think a lot of that is super solid, and it will change people's lives.
Practical steps and advice
that
you can actually follow.
Yeah, but he also has kind of a marketing side of that, which you get emails that say things like, is this a good time to buy real estate? Interest rates are higher than what we've seen for some time. And actually, if you look at the last few decades, we're kind of at an average.
Right.
Unfortunately, the house prices are more expensive, so the affordability is down, even though the interest rate isn't as crazy as what it feels like when we're used to seeing numbers like 3 and 3.5.
But that happened right during COVID. I mean, people got to understand that there was a crisis that occurred that brought those things down to 2 and 3%. So that the crisis is gone.
Yeah, it is gone, and they are trying to, kind of stabilize our inflation and stuff. But what the article basically was saying was that it is a good time to buy a house. I don't think that buying your dream home right now, if you're having to finance and you don't have a good down payment, maybe that's not reasonable given where the rates are if you are trying to keep your house payment close to what a rental payment would be. But I think it's always a good time to invest in yourself. And there was an article that came out separate of the Dave Ramsey email. It was out today.
I combined them both. Dave Ramsey article. Go talk.
I have to throw in before you talk about the article that John always says you date the rate and you marry the house.
Right.
So if you do find that dream house, even if it's not the best rate right now, you can refinance later when rates do come back down. So as long as it's something that makes sense for you to do and you do have that down payment, it can still be a very good time to do that.
Sure. And too, I think you also have to look at the fact that there are programs available, whether they're first-time homebuyer programs. Right now in new construction, we are seeing builders that are offering some really good incentives on buying down your rate so that you're not in like we used to talk about like a 2-1 buy down where you're getting maybe a 2% buy down your first year and a 1% the next year. And then, you've got not a variable rate anymore going forward. It's a fixed rate.
Right.
But you have to also look at the fact that your payment's going to go up for a couple of years. And so you may not be able to refinance within that 2-year period. So look at the rate that's actually probably under 6% if you're doing a buy down.
Or if you give a hold John Spur with Inspire Life Mortgage, I'm sure he'll work with you.
He does.
To find you something.
He does, and he's got some great programs available as well.
I want to throw out, while we're talking about new construction, there are a lot of things that are available right now, a lot of incentives, like you mentioned. And we tend to get a lot of promotions about those incentives because they want all of us to know about them. And so if it is something that one of the listeners is considering, I'll just say, you want to make sure you come in and talk with us and we can show you what's available in different areas. We can make sure that we go and show it to you the first time you see it so that we can be there to represent you and to get you the very best that we possibly can.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely want to reach out to your agent and make sure you're represented on those transactions. But they change pretty frequently too. It's all about how much inventory they have, what they need to get off the books. And so you definitely want someone who's kind of tracking that for you and helping you through the process.
Right.
But the article that I had seen was about a tech company that had sleeping pods that they're renting out, and they're renting these for $700 a month, and the tech workers loved it. But San Francisco is saying that they're not up to code.
Right.
So basically you get a twin size bed that you can sleep in, because you're going to be just like working and sleeping, and you don't need a house, especially if it's going to eat into your budget in San Francisco. So I think they've got a month or two to get those into code, but they're like, they don't have windows. It reminds me of camp when you
I
had
was thinking
bunk
more
beds.
like a dorm life. You know, these guys come out from these techs. They come straight out of college, and they're like, well, you're going back to dorm life. Well, I was already in dorm life last year, so here's what I might as well go back into this, instead of realizing that they need to start concentrating on themselves and their future, and they're not doing that at that time. Go ahead, Danielle.
Well, I saw a picture of it too. And, you're talking about dorms. Usually in a dorm, you only have so many people in one room, typically two, I think.
Yeah.
And you've got, that shared space, but you're also limited in the number of people that are in your immediate space. These pictures, I don't remember how many beds. I want to say there were like 8 in a row all together.
Yeah.
No room space around them, and they're stacked up on top of each other. I mean, you literally get like a little tiny box. You might as well be in a shoebox.
I know what this is. This is the Army way. The Army, old Air Force way of living. It's being bunks. It's being the bunkers. Yeah, I get that now. Yeah, or it might be in the Navy. They probably put them 3, 4 high. Oh, okay. So the military way of living. Okay, so all you military people, if you're thinking about doing that, go to San Francisco. Go find you $700 a month place, or you can come talk to us and let us sit there and pitch you in a place where we think that we can find you what you're looking for at a reasonable rate. And when you're talking about looking with John Spur with Inspired Life Mortgage, who will help you with that. And our job is to get you in the home that you like.
And I don't know if that's the future. That you rent a bed. If you're in a high rent or high, home value situation, I don't know if that's what people want, is that you can just have a place to sleep. But certainly if you are buying, what your expenses are going to be. Know basically what your house payment is going to be for the next 30 years if you're in a 30-year mortgage.
And it's your space.
That's true.
I mean, these ones with that shared space, you don't really have space to call your own. I think, it's like Raymond said earlier, moving forward, trying to move forward for your future is very different than this, I would see, as a very temporary
It's your
option.
status quo. You're like, well, I just got out of college. I might have lived this life for a couple of years, but those couple of years are the time you had a chance to get equity in your home if you would have had your home.
Yeah.
I forgot what the numbers that
makes a huge difference.
Yeah, John was saying that, every year you're waiting is about $14,000 you're leaving on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with that said, we've got Rigo. He's in the studio. I saw him walk by, and so we'll have Rigo here with us for the next segment. Be sure and stay tuned. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show.
Yeah, we appreciate your support and hope to hear from you soon to help you with your real estate needs. We're the Johnson Smith team at Indy Realty, located at 7255 East Tango Verde. Thanks for spending a part of your afternoon with us. You're listening to the I Am Real Estate Show on 1030 AM The Voice, KVOI.